Hi everyone, this is Matt Ingenthron from Couchbase, and we are live. Oh, I may have started that a little early. Hi, this is Matt. We're live, and so we should have some viewers out there joining momentarily. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So with me today, I have William. William's one of the dev advocates based out of New York. William, I think you turned your video off. So let's see if William's able to join us here. Hey, William. Williams, you want to say hi to the folks?
Hey, Matt. Hey, everyone joining in. My name is William. I'm a developer advocate based out of New York City and doing a lot of cool mobile stuff for Couchbase here. So hanging out, and thanks for anyone joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're here today to kind of answer any questions that come up, and also just engage people directly. If you got something that you'd like to ask us, you're welcome to join the Hangout. The way this works is it's a Hangout on air, and that means a portion of it is broadcast through YouTube, so you can watch through YouTube, but you can also join directly. If you have a question, you can share your screen with us and vice versa. One of the folks that we'd like to have on here is unfortunately having some challenges from where he is today. We tested things earlier and they seemed okay, but here we are at demo time and it's not working out as well. So please, we've got James Nocentini, who's another dev advocate. He was going to be doing our demonstration today. Slight challenge there at the moment. If you have a question, please either jump into the Hangout or submit it through the Q&A. I have the Q&A app up here, and I'm ready to answer anything that that comes through. Hey, William, I know you've been doing some work with Scoremore recently. Do you have something that you might be able to share with the folks on what Scoremore has been able to do with Couchbase Mobile?
Hey guys, yeah, Scoremore is an awesome baseball app, and it's springtime, it's baseball season, and they're using Couchbase to really give them the cross-platform support, but at the same time, they're using Couchbase for this offline sync and storing data. There's a great blog post on the topic. I can maybe drop the link there for everyone to check it out. The app is live across all the platforms, so you guys can download and check it out. It's really intuitive to use, and you can see how using Couchbase really allowed them to do the offline store stuff as well, especially in baseball stadiums, right? They don't get that signal connection, so they can basically sync all that data when there is a connection, and it resolves conflict. It's really, really cool. So Scoremore, I'll drop the link off right now in the chat.
Okay, great. Did you have any screenshots? I remember we were talking earlier and you said you might have some, but they're in a presentation deck. It's totally cool if you want to show that off.
Yeah, let me go look for it. It's somewhere around for sure.
Yeah, no worries. While William's pulling that up, I just want to remind folks we do have the Q&A app associated with this Hangout, so you ought to be able to join and add anything on the Q&A. Let me check. At the moment, there don't appear to be any questions. Let me just see what's going on over on the event page. And no new questions on the event page. So again, I know there are a number of you out there. So you're welcome to join in or ask a question on the Q&A here. I see Williams dropped in a link. I'll drop that link on the broadcast page. As mentioned on our live Hangout. Cool. While William's digging that up, let me check and see what we have on Q&A. At the moment, no questions. So feel free to either post a question through the event. There's a Q&A app associated with this Hangout, or you can certainly just post a comment directly, and I'm looking for both at the moment. Well, that's embarrassing. So we had the connection drop there in the middle of the broadcast. I apologize to everyone that's out there, but my plugin had died. So there was a question posted to the list. I'll grab that. So Travis James asks, when would you advise building your own sync gateway? Travis, I think in general, there's no reason to build Sync Gateway. We provide binary downloads from Couchbase.com/downloads. The only scenario I can think of where you might want to build your own Sync Gateway, of course, is if you're working on a new feature or if you want to try out the latest new features. Certainly, if you're talking about production deployment, you would want to generally use the binaries that we post, since those go through a fair amount of Q&A. Is there, James? Is there, Travis? Is there something specific that you're looking to do with Sync Gateway in that process? Let me actually go ahead and invite Travis into the Hangout. I can find the right Travis. There we are, Travis. Looks like a weightlifter. There we are. Travis, I've sent you an invite out, and then we can certainly discuss your question directly if you'd like. I'm hearing my audio is not perfect. Does it seem any better? Yes? Okay, looks like William says my audio is a bit better.
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I could hear some feedback artifacts, but I wasn't sure what that was. Got another question from Travis. So Travis asks, what is the usual latency between a synchronization request from a mobile application to updating other users of the app? That would be one reason. So the in Couchbase, really, there's a trade-off here. The challenge is you can either synchronize very frequently and at probably, depending on network latencies, the network that the user is on, whether they're on a Wi-Fi network or on a mobile network, you're usually talking about things in approximately the 1 second or so range. From my understanding, is the best case scenario. Now, the challenge is the trade-off for that, of course, is that if you have the device doing lots of updates, that's going to consume more radio. Consuming more radio, as you know, consumes more battery. And so you kind of have to look at the flexibility of how frequently do you want the Couchbase Lite to be doing replication against Sync Gateway in the background. And if you're trying to do very fast updates. Now, we have generally accounted for this in the Sync Gate or in the Couchbase Lite APIs. We know that there are some scenarios, some channels even, that you want to synchronize very frequently, and then there are other things that you may want to synchronize on a slower pace. Think of like an app update as sort of a slower pace, and think of something like a message between users as something that you may want to do very quickly. I think that's my quick high-level description. As far as modifying Sync Gateway to speed up synchronization, generally speaking, I don't know that you would necessarily gain a lot by doing that. There might be a few places where Sync Gateway is somewhat intentionally working with the rest of the Couchbase platform, including the server, to be efficient about how it uses those things. If there's a specific kind of latency you're going for, maybe I can give you a better answer on whether or not that's a practical thing at the moment. William, anything that you would add to that? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's very correct that it's a target that you should adjust accordingly, especially like there's a lot of different variables and X factors involved. I think if you present the particular use cases in the forums, you could definitely post that in a link there. We can maybe address that offline, but definitely there's things you can build, but I think most cases, the use case is also dependent on the actual type of data you're syncing and how you're going to go about logically doing that inside an app.
Yeah, replication. I do know that you can set up live replication a little different on different channels. So great, Travis, thanks for the question, and certainly I'll re-invite you if you're interested in joining here, if you want to chat with us directly. Travis, you should get an invite on Google+, so that might come up in your, on most of the Google windows, there's a little notification alert section. Hey, William, do you want? I think did you have some screenshots of Scoremore on your blog?
Sure do. It's there if you guys can check it out. Not only do we have a screenshot, we have an actual product walkthrough in code, and also the lead developer and CTO of the company showing how it works. I don't know if that's of interest to you. Take a look. I posted the link. There's also a video to check out.
Great. Actually, so Travis posted a third question here, which is great. Thanks, Travis. Good to get all the questions. So Travis asks, my use of Couchbase is a customizable content management system where the content types are extensible along with the rules and permissions. Okay, so that makes some sense, or I mean, not some sense, that makes a lot of sense. So you probably have some scenarios where you want to get that content out as quickly as possible, and then you probably need to define different rules. So I believe that you ought to be able to, get through Catchbase Lite, get the channels, the replication associated with particular channels to have that different priority. I don't 100% know that, but I'll certainly verify that and get back with you, and that may address your needs. So the thought is, maybe you have some content that is very fast changing, and then you have other content that's slow changing, and so then you would associate the replications with those different channels and set properties on those different channels. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, there's a Q&A app here in the Hangout, or if you'd like us to invite you in, we can certainly invite you in directly as well. So let me just verify or see if there are any comments posted on the event page. The moment, no comments and no additional questions at the moment. Let me see what I can do about it. Actually, I think I may even be able to pull up what William was talking about here. Yep. There we are. So this is from William's regular Coffee on Couchbase series, so to speak.
And while Matt's pulling that up, if you guys are building some awesome, cool things with Couchbase Mobile and want to get featured, definitely hit Matt, James, or myself up. We definitely want to feature you and showcase some of the cool stuff you're doing with your app and how your use case of Couchbase is.
So I've never tried this before, but let's see how it works. I'm adding an item, and let's show it. Oh. So I have just posted the YouTube video that we were talking about, which is Scoremore. And I think I can even try this as well. So just to give you an idea here. I can even add a screenshot. So William, I've added, I think you ought to be able to see this as well. I've added a screenshot of what's happening there with a chart and showing where the balls are going on the playing field. So maybe you can talk me just briefly through how that works through the different Catchbase Lite components and Sync Gateway.
Sure, I just took some time to unmute myself. So basically here, if you look at how Scoremore did it, it basically designed its ORM map to keep like specific attributes or types. It basically, in the type you have, for example, coaches, players, team managers, and what you're seeing there on the screen, I can't see it, Matt. Is it the sprite that you're seeing, that you're showing?
William, here, I'll drop it into the chat, but everyone else should be seeing that out there. It's well, here, I guess I can do this. I can probably just go ahead and share my screen. So, and I see we do have a couple other questions, so I'll get to those in just a moment.
Sure.
So, screen sharing. This was, ooh, is that coming through correctly?
Yep, I definitely see it. So let me talk about this and how Scoremore did this, what you see, the different dots. So the different colored dots represent the different types of hits. So in baseball, there's line drives, there's fly balls, there's ground ball outs. So baseball is a very, very stats-driven type of game, and it's a very offline experience because it's not as fast-paced as something like basketball or hockey. So people in the audience definitely jointly all keep track of data. So the idea here is inside a stadium or inside a game, you have people that's logged into, let's say, one database, and they're all collectively tracking the game as it goes on. So over here, for example, it shows basically the location of all the hits of a particular player. So that player basically is a key, and you can reference that over the year or over a season or see how they perform. So basically on the client side, Scoremore uses a JavaScript structure, and in effect it's like an object representation of the various document types. So you can basically query on a coach, on a player, on a team, and you can see how all the visuals are rendered on screen. So if someone basically, as an opponent, you can see who's coming up the bat. They typically what kind of hit do they generate on a right-hand pitcher or versus a left-hand pitcher. You can kind of play defense against that. So this app is really cool for tracking that collectively as people in the stadium enter data when they're offline, and it gets all synced to the cloud when they're all connected again.
Cool, great. Yeah, so I'm going to stop the sharing because we do actually have a couple more questions that have popped up. I have a question here from Runar Jordal. Runar, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Runar asks, I would like to add large 2 to 20 megabyte binary attachments to documents on Couchbase Lite, but I'm told 4 KB is a recommendation maximum. Any comments? So the quick answer here, Runar, is I don't believe there is a specific restriction. I think you may actually have a 10 megabyte restriction, which is, or I'm sorry, the 20 megabyte restriction, which is the Catchbase server default restriction. We do have some features that we're working on that should allow for larger attachments. The 4 kilobyte recommendation is really based on a couple of things. One is some of what's happening internally is sort of optimized for that. The other thing is that when we test, I'm sure you understand what I mean. When you test any given piece of software, you have to have a threshold that you test it to. And our first initial release, that's really what we test to for the most part, is trying to make sure that we get to that sort of that we can support reasonably large attachments, things like images and so forth. But 2 to 20 megabyte is rather large. You may want to consider, we might be able to support that in the future, or you may want to consider other ways of sharing that content out and just put the metadata for what you're sharing in Couchbase Lite and run that through Sync Gateway and Couchbase Lite. That's my quick answer. I will take a note to get a better answer on that, though, Runar. So I hope that helps.
I could also make a quick comment on attachments. We're looking to expand that beyond 20 megabytes. So depending on your use case, might be a fit. But to Matt's point, definitely look in terms of how you would architect and develop for a good experience with the current tech and specs.
Great. Thanks, William. Yeah, I know we're adding new features all the time. Speaking of which, in early June, I believe, what is the date? I think it's June, I want to say it's June 8 and 9. We have Catchbase Connect, which is our big once-a-year conference in San Francisco. We got a pretty awesome venue this year. We're going to be at the Levi's Stadium, so not in the stadium itself, but they actually have meeting rooms internal to the stadium, and so we've got a great venue there for folks. And if you're interested in attending, the cost is $99. There are a set of workshops that are happening, I believe, on the 8th, or the workshops and the conferences on the 9th, if I recall off the top of my head. If you're interested in attending and you're looking for a deal, then ping myself or William. I'm Matt at Catchbase.com. William is William at Catchbase.com, and we have a way that we can probably get you a deal if you're interested in attending. So I do have another question out there, again from Travis. So pulling that question up, Travis asks, what about the device encryption for HIPAA compliance? So there are kind of two quick answers for this. So if you're starting to look at those kinds of regulatory environments like HIPAA, where you have to have certain requirements that you meet in order to be HIPAA compliant, you can sort of think about it as encrypted data while in flight. So in Couchbase Mobile, we have support for that directly, meaning that we have the ability to SSL encrypt things as they go across from Catchbase Lite to Sync Gateway. So that sort of handles encryption for data in flight. The other thing that I should point out is that we have a really flexible authentication and authorization mechanism there. So you can do authentication. We have built-in authentication for Mozilla Persona and Facebook. We're looking at adding some others, but even if we don't have what you need out of the box, you can add other authentication methods through a fairly easy extension. You may have to have another web server or something you're talking to from over HTTP internally there, but then you can do other auth and tie that to other users inside Sync Gateway. Then as far as encryption on the device is concerned, currently at the moment, Couchbase Lite does not directly have encryption on the device. Now, the devices, for instance, iOS in particular, I know encrypts all the data. I do know that that's a feature that we're looking to adding in the future. There was a presentation on that back in October of last year when we were talking about roadmap. I don't have an exact answer for where that is roadmap-wise, but I believe we're looking at that even from a subdocument perspective. Hey, James, I think I heard your audio there. Anything you'd add? No. William, anything you'd add on the HIPAA compliance and the encryption side? Maybe you know something off the top of your head?
I think you covered it. Definitely, I think presenting your use case will help us furthermore. We're always trying to revamp that and revise that as well.
Cool. Yeah, and Travis, if there's something specific that you're looking to do, we can definitely give you, connect you with the product management and figure out where that is in the roadmap. So two more questions actually from Travis. Travis, thanks for asking all the questions. So grabbing what I think was the next one, Travis said one of the things that they're doing in their app is supporting web RTC-based communications and content. And then it says iLive session can be, I think it's supposed to be a live session, can be recorded while it is in play, like this Hangout session. During live content events, they store data about frames. Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate the clarification there. And then I think this was the next one. So that data can be sent to users in real time. Some is collected on data channels. Any thoughts on real-time big data with this type of setup? So the only real thought I'd have is, so generally it actually sounds pretty familiar. We did a hackathon not too long ago, and one of the teams was actually sending screenshots of the device on a real-time basis. So they would take a screenshot and send it, and they had a channel between users for that screenshot. And that worked reasonably well. Now this was mobile device screenshots, so they weren't that large. And then we defined a channel each. The real-time big data. Yeah. I think thanks, James. You muted. I think James Nocentini is trying to join, and when he joins, my audio goes off a little bit. So, but we'll try to give James an opportunity to talk here in a moment. So that for that team at that hackathon, it worked pretty well. I say pretty well because the latencies were a little high, so it wasn't so high. It wasn't so perfect that you could easily take remote control because the latencies were a little bit high. Now that might be able to be optimized. As far as the size of data or big data, the good part about Sync Gateway and Couchbase Server is it just scales out. You know, the cluster, which is where all the stateful data goes, will just scale out, and the Sync Gateway side, which is stateless, it pushes all its state either back to the cluster or to the client on Couchbase Lite. That too will just scale out. So I think it generally is going to be okay. But of course, anytime you start talking about big data, you know, how big is too big? As far as channels and number of channels, that is pretty well, that's certainly something that's very well covered, and even down to the level of having a channel on a per user basis, or a channel for, say, a small group or a couple of users generally isn't a problem. So I'm going to pause for a second because it seemed like James was trying to say something, so he's currently muted. James, you want to unmute yourself? Were you wanting to say something? And now I'm picturing James trying to find his mute button. We've all been there before. Okay, no James. Well, we give it a shot. So going back, I got one more question from Travis. He says, as a follow-up on security and HIPAA, the use case is to secure files if the device is compromised. One answer is to use the encrypted data for the file provided by iOS. Is that purpose? So yes, I mean that's I believe in many cases you can meet the requirement that you're talking about by using the device encryption on iOS. And so for those who don't know, when you're using iOS in that way, you're able to associate the user, it's the typical multi-factor authentication, right? What you have and what you know. So whether you're doing a PIN or some sort of swipe or the fingerprint on the more recent iOS devices, you can within the app, I believe, you can secure access to the app through iOS API directly. And then if you're unable to launch the app, then you wouldn't necessarily be able to get to the data. If you're unable to unlock the device, then yes, you have physical access to the device, but that physical access is going to require that additional information, the what you know, whether that's the number or a thumbprint, things of that nature. So you could have the device, and just imagine for a moment you crack it open, pull out or crack into it any other way, get the bytes off. You're not going to be able to, well, not is relative. Encryption, can be defeated. It's all a question of how much you're willing to spend on it, really. But generally speaking, it's a pretty high level of encryption. So I'm not an expert on that. But we can maybe try to get you some better answers there. So I believe you can meet all of that with iOS. To my knowledge, that is not built-in functionality on Android. But I do believe that there are people that have been able to do things like that. Really, on the encryption side, the thing that the question that comes up more frequently, well, it comes up occasionally, I should say. Usually we can hit most use cases, but occasionally you have that situation where somebody wants to, within document, encrypt things. And so sometimes they want to encrypt a portion of it. Now, obviously you can do that at the application layer, but sometimes they're really looking for the APIs to provide that, and that's a future feature. So that's not something that we have at the moment. Great, and then he says, I meant possible. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. Thanks, Travis. So great, we are at 40 minutes, and again, apologies for not being able to do the demos. We will do this again in the future, and we'll make sure that whatever location James is in is compatible with the Google Hangout plugin. It looks like we were foiled by a network this time. So there aren't any other questions remaining. Let me just check the Hangout event page itself and see what's online there. And no questions posted to that. So I will. I think we'll leave it there unless anyone else has another question. I'll give it just a couple minutes. Some dates to be aware of coming up, and I will post this to the events page afterward. Tomorrow, the 16th of April, day after tax day, at least here in the US, Wayne Carter, the Chief Architect of Mobile, is going to be doing a webinar where he's going to build a game. I believe that's what the webinar description says. So there's going to be a game built over the course of the webinar itself. And so that's featuring a lot of our recent support for Unity, which is definitely cool. The other thing worth mentioning, if you're brand new to Couchbase, just yesterday we posted some new changes to the mobile portal, and so those help you just kind of grok what the different components are, from Catchbase Lite to Sync Gateway, and how the pieces come together. And then the other thing worth mentioning is that we have a couple of webinars planned here later in the month. On, I want to say it's April 24. But I'm sorry, I think it's April 20. Let me pull up the specifics on that. So we'll get an announcement out later today. So we have 3 upcoming webinars, and James is actually a featured speaker in one of them. William is a featured speaker in another. First one is on iOS, developing apps with iOS. James is going to show that one. And then the second one is on Android, developing Couchbase Lite apps with Android. And then the third one, and this one's going to be really cool, and we're still working on exactly who's going to be talking to it, but we're going to do a webinar on developing peer-to-peer apps with Catchbase Lite. So one of the engineers here at Catchbase who works on Catchbase Lite, Pasin, did a great blog recently on that, and so we wanted to share a little more info on that. So we're going to have a webinar on that specifically. So be on the lookout for those webinars coming up here shortly. I will post by the end of today or so. I should be able to post links if you want to sign up for those in advance. So on the with respect to the new content, if you just the place to remember is just developer.couchbase.com/mobile. So that's a great place to visit to sign up for either the newsletter, where you will get information on upcoming events like this Hangout and so forth, or if you want to sign up for the upcoming webinars. So again, sorry for the challenges here this morning, but I want to say thanks so much for everyone who's joined. I know we got a few viewers out there. I'll just double check to see if we got any additional Q&A, and it looks like there is not. So with that, I'll say thanks very much for joining. We'll do this again in the not too distant future, or we can get some other content in. William, anything you want to say to the folks?
Yeah, just thanks for coming. There's some great stuff happening in the community, and if you have using Couchbase Mobile, definitely hit us up. And there's a lot of cool webinar stuff starting tomorrow, so definitely check that out when you have a chance.
Great. Yep. Look forward to seeing everyone on the webinar tomorrow. It's on Unity, on game development with Catchbase Lite. Thanks again. See you at the next office hours or in Hangout. Bye.